Hello there. So you were curious about your temperament and your strong suits, your weak points, and the like. Okay, very interesting. No, yeah, right now I'm hosting free phrenology exams for anyone who wants to participate. So if you'd like, we're going to basically just go off of this chart right here. I have the areas all mapped out, color-coded, and explained and broken down so that way I can explain to you what it is that I'm finding, how it is that I'm finding it, and to what section it basically belongs to as well. Okay? This is a very scientific rule, but it's a science that is basically kind of not necessarily experimental, but it's rooted in a sort of measurement that can be modified or improved upon. However, it's a science nonetheless that I find very interesting. I don't vest too much value into it, but it is something that kind of gives you more insight into how people have tried figuring out or explaining certain repeated signs, a pattern basically, how people have tried translating patterns into science. So I'm going to break down the chart very quickly for you and then we'll begin. Okay, excellent. Well, in that case, we're going to go down to your occipital lobe. In your occipital lobe, this is what contains your domestic instincts. Your domestic instincts include your idea of being married, of having children, of maintaining the home, of how you get along with your friends, and how amiable you are in general. Then we'll go up towards your parietal lobe, both on both sides. Your parietal lobe is where your spring is, I guess. It's your growth or stability in life. And this one is basically where you get your ability to self-reflect, your ability, although not necessarily self-reflect, but your ability to correct yourself, I suppose. It's also where you have your self-perception, your ability to maintain boundaries, your moral compass, and then going on around your ears, so around this area, we have your anima. Your anima is basically your fleshy appetite, so this could include your drunkenness, your want for food, your gluttonous side or absence thereof preferably, your aggression, your quickness to fighting, and your mistrust of others or embrace of others. Depends on how the indent or lack thereof goes. We also have right here towards your frontal lobe the idea of self, a bit more expanded, I suppose. This includes your idealism, it includes your perception or hope of the world, it includes your ability to kind of create a structure or a worldview of the world. Towards the top of your head, right here down the meridian, you have your moral self. So this includes benevolence, it includes your veneration, which is basically what you worship. It has your sense of hope in something here in the afterworld, your sense of spirituality, and who you imitate, role models, what type of role models you aspire to be. And then here towards the frontal lobe again, we have your reflectives. This is basically your ability to be agreeable, your sense of human nature and how that's rooted or normalized, your idea of human nature, and your ability to compare yourself with others, so kind of to assess yourself, whether it's in a negative or in a positive. And then in the frontal lobe, right here around your brow, we have all of your perceptions or perceptives, including time, locality, eventuality, individuality, weight, size, color, order, basically how you perceive the way you view the details in the world. So if you like, we can thus begin. Yeah, it'll be a quick little exam. It won't take too much time up, and I'm sure you're on your way to your next class, so it's not going to be too exhaustive. It's just going to be kind of a nice little rubbing in different portions of your head. I'll tell you if you have a bump there. If you do, that means that you have a high quality or a high level of skill in that quality or characteristic. And if there's an indent, that means that you have a low quality or a low amount of that skill or instinct inside of yourself. bumps basically on my eye. Inflammation. It's caused by oil buildup. So if I drink coffee or wine, it dehydrates me, so then my eyes end up getting affected. But if I drink a lot of water and tea, then it helps disappear the bumps, basically helps them go away. So I'm very sensitive there. I have to drink a lot of water. Excuse me. Now, let us begin. I'm going to start off, I guess, on your frontal lobe. I'm going to start off with your perceptives. So, look straight at me. Okay. I'm just going to analyze you real quick. I'm going to give a good little feel out for your frontal lobe. Okay. I'm going to go right here, right there on the corner of your eye where your color and weight are. Okay. I'm sensing a couple of bumps here. Yeah. Okay. So if we're going to go down into the chart, it's nice and broken up for us. Color, which is about right here. Your bump gives you a good sense of color theory, gives you a good sense of perception, of distinguishing between colors. So where others might look at a shade chart of red and think all of it is red, you tend to be someone who can see the nuances and shades of those colors. Some people are very, very detail oriented when it comes to those colors. They can see microscopic details that most can't. Others can see a wide variety of colors, but some also cannot see any variety whatsoever. You kind of rank in the average tier. It's a bit of a bump, but not too pronounced. Then we go to order, which is basically your ability to put things in order into a sequence, whether it's chronologically or any type of alphabetically, any type of organizational tool. There's a slight bump there. It's a little bit above average. It means that you have a good quality when it comes to ordering things. We're going to go down towards here, towards your cheekbone. This is your sense of calculation. It's your sense of addition, subtraction, arithmetic in general. This is a little bit receded. Okay, so you're mathematically challenged, I suppose. Tell me, what's 12 times 7? Yeah, you're a bit mathematically challenged. That's a pretty simple equation for a person your age. Now we're going to go above that cheekbone, right around here, towards your temple. This is your vibativeness. Although vibativeness is kind of confusing, because wouldn't that be in the anima? Wouldn't that be your distinguishing between drinks? Nonetheless, I'm going to go to your temple and I'm going to analyze your vibativeness. And yes, it's receded. Your palate isn't quite refined. We're going to go towards the eye again, kind of moving right into the middle of your temple. We're going to distinguish your sense of tune. So this is going to be your ability to distinguish between tunes or notes. If it's receded, you're tone deaf. If it's pronounced, then you have a pretty good sense of distinguishing between notes. If it's kind of flat, then you kind of have an average sense of distinguishing between notes. So I'm just going to give a little rub right here. A little rub right there. And it's pretty flat. Then we're going to go over to the next one, is your sense of time. If you're someone who procrastinates, if you're someone who's pretty aware of time, if you're someone who's very punctual, it's pronounced, so you have a good grasp on being a punctual person. Congratulations. I'm sure that it's an excellent quality for a university student such as yourself. Now we're going to go right above the eye and we're going to examine your locality, or your sense of locality. This is your idea of spatial awareness, I suppose, your sense of location, your ability to recollect places. So I'm just going to go right here and I'm going to feel out your locality. It's a bit receded, yeah. Do you tend to struggle with remembering with what might be around, like places that might be around your designated, or your destination rather? Oh, you don't know? That's fair. I'm going to go underneath your locality and I'm going to go towards your weight and size. This is your ability to perceive weight, or at least the evident or seeming weight of matter, and then how big or small it is via your perception, just by your naked eye. You could forgive a person for being a bit off about it, but typically we get a good sense of it. So I'm going to be feeling out your sense of weight and it is pronounced, so you do have a good grasp on how much things weigh. And then I'm going to go on to the next one, your sense of size, and likewise it is also pronounced, so you have a good grasp as to the size of things. Of course, our perception can play tricks on us. I think it was Rene Descartes who ended up saying that you can't quite trust your senses because they could deceive you. So if you were to rest your sense of rationale upon the material world, then you'd be very easily deceived. But you do have a good grasp as to what things seemingly look like. Now we're going to go right here towards the front, right here on your brow, and we're going to analyze your individuality, your sense of self, or at least your sense of being separated from others. I'm going to just feel that out. And once again, pronounced, so you have a sense of individuality, you have a sense of who you are. I'm going to go above your eventuality. Your eventuality is your ability to memorize facts or information. It's right here in your third eye or in your pineal gland. I'm just going to go right here and see how that feels. Good, it's pronounced. An excellent quality for a university student. And then I'm going to go underneath your eye right here, and I'm going to feel out your language. I'm going to see how you express ideas, or how you kind of arrange words to convey the meaning you're seeking to express. So I'm just going to feel out underneath your eyes. Okay, pronounced as well. Very good. I'm going to take a small break and take a sip of my water. I love chewing ice. They told Diane Keaton that she's not supposed to chew ice because it's bad for her teeth. But I too would disagree with that, and I would continue chewing ice when I'm an old lady. We're going to go up here now, above, or it's still in your frontal lobe, but towards the upper part of your frontal lobe. And we're going to be analyzing your domestic, or your reflectives. So there's 4 parts to your reflectives, which we're going to be analyzing right here. Above your eye, right about here, is 1 reflective, 2 reflective, 3 reflective, 4 reflective. So they're just kind of going to be located right there. So I'm just going to go right here, and I'm going to be feeling out for your human nature. Your human nature, as expressly described, is your perception of motives. So your idea of how people are propelled forward in their actions, what incentives you think people have, and the variety of motivations people possess. Sometimes people who are kind of raised in a bubble believe that others have the same idealistic, moral motivations as themselves, so this might be a bit receded in them just because they can't quite capture the wide variety of incentives others might have. Other people who are raised in very difficult situations also believe likewise that everyone has sinister or Machiavellian or insidious instincts, mostly because that's what they were surrounded by, so they can't quite imagine someone with genuine intentions doing things for moral reasons outside of sheer ignorance. And then others have a very fair balance of both, and those are the people who kind of have a good spectrum of understanding when it comes to human nature. This is usually when the bump might be a little bit more pronounced. In your case, your bump is a bit flat, so you're kind of getting there but not quite yet. Underneath your human nature is your comparativeness. This is how you assess yourself against other people. So your qualities and your skills, how they measure up against others, where they fit in. Sometimes people who have a negative self-image will resent others because as they compare themselves to them, they'll try to find reasons to justify why it is that they aren't as good in whatever category they're measuring, and thus they'll hate those people who are better out of resentment and jealousy, and vice versa. If you're doing great, then you might also have a negative image towards those who aren't doing as well, or perchance have a more constructive idea, which is to try and spread your knowledge towards them. There's a lot of little varieties and distinctions that people might develop when it comes to comparing themselves, but this is what I'm going to be measuring right now. Your comparativeness is a bit pronounced, meaning that you do have a constructive way of comparing yourself to others. This is a highly, I wouldn't say it's highly rare, but it's on the rare side, and it's a highly useful tool. Next to human nature is your sense of agreeableness. I'm just going to feel this out. Yes, your agreeableness is pronounced, so you're someone who's a team player, you're someone who can get along well with others. And then underneath agreeableness is causality. This is your ability to understand cause and effect and to understand the root problems of sequences. So some people might just kind of stop dead in their tracks with some explanation and not ask any further questions, or their doubts might not even arise because they'll just kind of be satiated with explanations. Meanwhile, with you, you kind of like to dig deeper. It's pronounced, so it is a positive characteristic in you, or at least it's an existing characteristic in you. Now we're going to go towards the top of your head right here, and we're going to be measuring out your morals. So this is where the 5 characteristics of benevolence, spirituality, imitation, veneration, and hope lie. So I'm just going to be feeling out your head. Your benevolence is pronounced, which is a lovely character, and it kind of goes hand in hand with the previous characteristics we've analyzed. Your sense of benevolence is your kindness. Kindness is not to be mistaken with niceness. Niceness is almost like a mask. It's something that people do in order to project goodness, quote unquote, or at least amiability, quote unquote, but it can oftentimes be weaponized by people like Ted Bundy, who pretended to be nice until it served his interests, or cowards who pretend to be nice just so that way they can kind of be left in the background, but inside of them they probably have a lot of not nice qualities going on. Kindness is different. Kindness is the type of affection you show people who cannot give you anything, and kindness is the affection that you give people who might be I can't quite explain it, I suppose. But kindness is basically something that you naturally give without expecting anything in return. Nothing, not a good opinion, not a positive reaction, just this is how you engage or interact with the world. It's selfless. Niceness tends to be a bit more of a cosplay. Next to benevolence is veneration. You are high in veneration, meaning that you do look towards the divine or something higher than yourself. Underneath benevolence is imitation. Yep. Also high. Typically these are all interrelated. Not always, but typically it's a little bit interrelated. Spirituality, I imagine, is going to be high. Okay, it is. And then hope, I imagine, is also going to be high. Okay, it is. So we've passed the moral section. Now we're going to go towards your parietal lobe section. We're going to go down to the self. This has 4 parts to it. It's mirthfulness, or 3 parts to it actually. Mirthfulness, constructiveness, and ideality. So I'm just going to be feeling out to the side of your head, and give me one moment. I'm going to give a good rub right here. Mirthfulness. Mirthfulness is defined as being witty or fun, and it's a bit flat, so you're just kind of there to enjoy the time. Then underneath mirthfulness is ideality. So I'm going to go down here and see. Your ideality is pronounced, which means that you are a very refined person when it comes to your sense of taste, whether it's furniture or whether it's music, whether it's any type of art or architecture. You tend to enjoy things that are well done, well constructed, and have deep meaning and symbolism behind it. Now next to your constructiveness, or rather ideality, is your constructiveness. So this is your sense of mechanical ingenuity. This is how you kind of look at something and piece apart the different functions and see how they interact with each other to work together. I'm just going to be analyzing your mechanical ingenuity, or rather your constructiveness. And it's flat. Makes sense. Are you an art student by chance? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So now we're going to go towards the back of your head, not yet to your occipital lobe, but just towards the back of your head. And we're going to be analyzing the 6 parts of your spring, so your growth and your sense of stability. So this is your ability to grow, as previously mentioned. So I'm going to be tapping right here just to see your self-esteem. It's flat, so it's not too high, not too low. Some would say that that's a pretty good place for it to be, but you can still have high self-esteem and have it be a positive thing, and you can also have low self-esteem and have it be a positive thing. It really just depends on what you do with it, on your inner motivation and your way of coping with either or all. Next to self-esteem, we're going to analyze firmness. So I'm just going to tap on your firmness, and it's quite high, which is very good. That's your, well, it can be good. That's your sense of setting boundaries. That's your ability to basically allow people, or to give people space when you need it, and to allow them in if you like it. Some people's firmness is way too strong, and their sense of boundaries is basically nearly manipulative, if not very bullying, where it's almost like you're walking on broken eggshells around them all the time. And likewise, when it comes to people who have no boundaries, they're also someone where it's like a mouse trap. It's like out of left field, and it'll snap without anyone even knowing it. Underneath firmness is conscientiousness. This is your ability to kind of reason out morality and grow within it. So I'm just going to, your sense of justice. Feel out your conscientiousness. Okay. You have a pretty high sense of conscientiousness. Next is your approbativeness. This is your sense of ambition. I think I might have gotten that wrong in the beginning, but yeah, your approbativeness is your sense of ambition, which is quite high. Congratulations. But then again, once again, all of these characteristics, whether high or low, can be interpreted in a positive or a negative way. It just requires a bit of wisdom to decide between the two directions, I suppose. Underneath approbativeness is cautiousness rather. Your sense of cautiousness is your ability to kind of engage or enter into a new situation or a new environment, and how long it takes you to feel at ease there. And your quality is flat, meaning that you kind of take an average time. It's not really something that's noticeable in either way. And then next to your consciousness is your sublimity. Your sublimity, I believe, is recognizing the beautiful, the love of the grandeur. It's the ability to recognize something beautiful. So I'm just going to feel out your sublimity. There we go. Okay. It's quite high, which makes sense since it kind of goes hand in hand with your ideality. They're also right next to each other. So now we're going to go lower around your ear, and we're going to be analyzing your anima, your sense of instinct. But before we do, I'm going to take a quick little drink of water, and I'm going to thank you once again for engaging in this little project with me. It's actually for one of my classes. Okay. So, your anima. For your anima, this is your sense of instinct. So we're going to be going around your ear. Now we're going to go in front of your ear and analyze your alimentiveness. This is your sense of gluttony, your sense of eating, your appetite. So I'm going to go right here just to kind of feel this out really good. It's flat, which is pretty good. You don't have a negative relationship with food, but you also don't have a positive relationship with food. It's kind of just a normal person's relationship with food. Then we're going to go above your ear. And that's your sense of destructiveness. That's your self-sabotaging instinct, basically. That's your ability towards hurting others or yourself, or even doing something permanent where you hurt others or yourself physically. And it's quite low, which is good. And then above that destructive quality is your acquisitiveness. Acquisitiveness, yes. Which is your sense of wanting to accumulate wealth or material gain. flat, average. So you neither have a positive nor negative relationship with the acquisition of wealth or material resources. Then next to your acquisitiveness is your secretiveness. So that is your caution or doubt or paranoia when it comes to others. So I'm just going to analyze that. Yep. It's, once again, average. So pretty decent results. And then next to secretiveness and destructiveness is combativeness. This is your quickness, your short fuse, whether it's a long fuse or a short fuse. This is your quickness or your hastiness towards conflict or fights. So I'm just going to feel this one out. And yes, it's flat. No big shocker there. The next one is vivativeness. This is your love for life, your embrace of it. So I'm just going to, it's going to be right here in the back of your ear, kind of right there where the bone ends. I forgot what the name of that bone is, but right about here. And you did, it's pronounced, so congratulations. It's very nice to see someone else who has a yearning or a love for life and being alive. It's a rare quality, especially during difficult times. Now next, although really honestly this could not be qualified as difficult times. Difficult times are difficult times. Now the next one is going to be in your occipital lobe. This is going to be in the back of your head, and this is going to be your domestic qualities. So I'm just going to ask you to move your head a little bit forward for me, please. Thank you. And I'm just going to feel out the very base of your head. Good. This is where your amativeness is, and your amativeness is your libido, basically. Your libido when it comes to your appetite for that act. And it's a little bit pronounced, but not significantly pronounced. Now, the next one we're going to analyze is your conjugality, which is your sense of committing to one person, your sense of matrimonial love. That one's right above your amativeness. Typically, there's a relationship between the two. If your amativeness is dysfunctional, if it is broken, if there are negative issues with it, whether the complete absence or the complete in chaos of it, then typically it'll affect your conjugality. But likewise, your conjugality is also quite high, so congratulations on that one. Next to your conjugality is your sense of parental love. So it's your ability to take responsibility for your children, have authority over your children. That's fair and balanced. Not necessarily fair and balanced in the sort of like communist sense, but fair and balanced in a way where you understand the boundaries, the needs, and are able to satisfy them without cruelly expecting your children to serve your sense of authority, but rather using your authority to serve your children. Kind of like Aragorn from Lord of the Rings. The hands of a king is the hands of a healer. So that's kind of your sense of parental love. So I'm just going to feel out your sense of parental love. And it's quite pronounced, so congratulations. And then above parental love, we have inhabitiveness. Inhabitiveness is the love of home. It's your ability to take care of your home. This usually goes hand in hand with the other qualities as well. And yours is quite high. Good. Typically, cleanliness is next to godliness. So when you have a clean home, you have a home that also is more conducive towards a happy family. If the home is chaos, your children are probably going to feel a lack of respect for your authority, and consequently you'll become more and more tyrannical to try and exercise authority, if not completely relinquish authority, and then allow your children to just grow up feral almost. Then next to inhabitiveness is friendship. Friendship is pretty self-explanatory. It's your propensity towards making friends and maintaining them. Plenty of people can call this ever never-ending rotating door, revolving door, friends, but if they don't stay and they're not stable, then they're not friends. It's like enemies in the making. People using each other just for company, so that way they don't feel the silence. And your quality is quite high, meaning that you can make and sustain friends. And then finally, above the two qualities is continuity. Continuity is your ability to concentrate. So just like the other qualities, if it's high, then all of the other characteristics are well served. So I'm just going to feel this out. And it's high. Congratulations. So that was pretty much the entire exam. How did you enjoy yourself? Did you like it? Okay, cool, excellent. Well, I'll be noting that down in my notes, actually, just to see how, my fellow peers at campus enjoy this test. But since you enjoyed it, then I'm glad. If you have any questions, then you can obviously reach me in the psychology department, which is where I'm studying, and otherwise,